But we're back just in time to see maybe the last couple of hot laps from Finish Boy and Anthony Johnson. And it looks like one right behind the other here on the track. So they both crossed the line with 17 seconds left to play. Anthony Johnson might be in the catbird seat because he might be able to get a tow off of Finish Boy Sauber. They're running 1-2 on the track right now. And we apologize for the technical difficulties. Had some sort of error in application according to Sony, and I blame Codemasters. Grasic retires from the session again. Wonder if he's having similar issues. So Finish Boy with a 1:21.6 being chased by... Oh, and Eric Garcia's gone second quickest with a 1:21.7. Anthony Johnson is in pursuit of Finish Boy. It looks like Garcia was in the Ferrari getting out of the way of these two guys coming through. And it looks like the intensity is ramped up here on the track just a little bit as we head into this last hot lap. Finish Boy coming across the line now. Anthony Johnson right behind him. Finish Boy 1:21.195 to the top of the charts. Anthony Johnson can't improve his time, 1:21.926. So Finish Boy is going to pick up the first pole of the season here at Australia. 0.6 of a second quicker over Eric Garcia.
Post a link. So I'm searching to try and find it again. Oh, no, it's back up.
Did you find it? So here is your official starting order. That is going to be Finish Boy, followed by Eric Garcia, Anthony Johnson, Robert Caroba with a very good fourth position, Donnie Staubitz in fifth, Ryan Wingate sixth, Tim Gray seventh, Dennis Graham is eighth, Logan Davis is ninth, and Rafael Grasic, who seemed to have some internet issues possibly, wasn't able to set a time, and we're not sure if he's going to be able to participate in the race as well. I know he had joined, and then he was gone, and then he was back again. He might be having application issues as well, like we just did here in the middle of this live stream. So welcome back for part 2. Oh, and we've got rain here in Australia for the race. Caught me off guard, colored me pink. The great equalizer has shown its face.
So, do we have any already known rain masters?
If I had to take a guess, I would definitely put Finish Boy at the top of that chart since he is Finnish. He probably has a very good understanding of wet weather driving. Just given their abilities, I would say Anthony Johnson for sure. But I think with the rain, I think you can see some of these back markers. Maybe Dennis Graham, Logan Davis, Tim Gray maybe work their way through the field a little bit with some misfortune from the other guys.
Yeah, that's pretty much number one, isn't it, on the Formula One racetrack or on any high-powered racetrack? No mistakes.
And we are off and running in the rain. Good start by Eric Garcia, and Finish Boy gets pushed wide. Anthony Johnson up into second. We got a side-by-side action there. Johnson is off the course. He's got to try and get back on. There's a 5-second penalty for Caroba. Looks like he had a contact with another driver. Finish Boy manages to get around.
There's two people right on his tail there. He was able to get himself in front of them.
And it is really coming down, and there's a yellow flag sectors 1 and 2. Got a lot of action going on here in the back. Donnie Stallbitz has worked his way into the 4th position. And Dennis Graham, as we spoke earlier, he's worked his way into 5th because of some misfortune from some of these other drivers.
As I was going to say, just as the race is starting.
And how is it?
If you make one mistake, that can be 2-3 seconds off the lap time if someone passes you. You make no mistakes, and yeah, you can just save time by being clean, being consistent. So, in the rain, that's going to be something they're going to look towards.
Somehow my car is on track, even though I'm not driving it. Oh. Well, it looks like Dennis Graham has had an issue, though. He was running 5th, and now he's in the wall. Yellow flag. Can he get the car backed up? So we pick up the big 3. That's Eric Garcia, Finish Boy, and Anthony Johnson, and they have pulled out 1, 2, and 3 to a 7.5 second lead over the 4th place car of Ryan Wingate. And there's just yellow flags popping up everywhere all over this course. Some of these guys in the back obviously having a lot of offs. But the top 3 are...
It did seem that even 4th and 5th were at that time, considering the times they were doing, extrapolating that out over an entire race distance, they would be just about getting lapped by the end of the race, even 4th and 5th. So, yeah, it's going to be tricky, but they're going to have to try and stay with these front runners, otherwise that's going to be even worse.
So Finish Boy is now fallen beyond a second to Eric Garcia. So the top 3 in qualifying during the dry sessions are your top 3 in the race in the very, very wet session. And Anthony Johnson sets the fastest lap at a 1:44.431, and that is 20 some odd seconds over the fastest time set in qualifying in the dry. Just to give you an idea how slow these cars are going in comparison to the qualifying session. Hop on board with Finish Boy to see what it's like to try and look out the windshield, so to speak, in one of these cars in the wet. We'll bring up some telemetry data to see how easy he can get on the throttle.
Is there any chance you can remove the menu from the top right outside? But yeah, if we, when we're having the look at these guys coming out of the comments, look at the green accelerator represented around the gear changes to the bottom of it. So you just have temperature at the end. Especially with this switch back into season, having about 50%, 40%. Very long time to get it.
And as you saw, they already lapped Dennis Graham. He was off to the side. Very slow through that last corner there. So Eric Garcia and Finish Boy have now gapped Anthony Johnson. Johnson has fallen 3 seconds back of this battle for first. Garcia putting in a good run. The cars have all got some big separation. So Anthony Johnson, third spot. Ryan Wingate's running all by his lonesome in the fourth spot. He's got a little bit of separation back to him to Rafael Grasic, who did manage to make the race. Then you have Donnie Staubitz running in sixth. He's in the Haas and he runs very wide into the grass. And then he is followed by myself, which I am not actually racing. So this is an AI car. I'm not sure how it got out there to begin with. Logan Davis is running in the 8th spot. Robert Carobo is in 9th. Tim Gray is in 10th. And Dennis Graham is running essentially a lap down at this point in the 11th spot. Provisionally 10th, because my car will not count towards points. I'm not sure why it's out there. Garcia comes across the line, sets the fastest lap of the session of the race, 1:43.489. Still being followed closely by Finish Boy, and Anthony Johnson's gone into the pits, and he is switching over to... Well, it looks like Johnson picked up some wing damage is what had happened there, and he's switching over to intermediates. What's your take on that? Because it seems to me that it is raining way too hard to be on inters at this point.
You see, I'm not seeing the rain splashing down. I'm seeing a lot of splash back. I'm seeing the road covered in rain, covered side to side. So, as long as there's no dry patches, it'll be okay. But if it's too wet, it won't be okay. And it seems there's a dry patch lining up. So if he's clever enough, he might have caught the perfect time to come out and find that drying patch of concrete or tarmac.
Will the gamble pay off? Anthony Johnson is currently 8th as he pitted to get new wing and enters. So we'll keep an eye on his lap times. If they start to drop, he may have caught the crossover just in time, as you said.
We can look up to the sky when the camera allows. We might be able to see what's happening. It was dark grey to light grey, so let's see if the sun starts to shine through a little bit. Let's see if it stopped raining. It won't be very long before there is a dry line on the track. As you can see very much from the last few pictures we just had, there is a definite dry line opening up.
So the racing line is starting to present itself. And the time is starting to drop a little bit. 1:42 for Eric Garcia that time by. So compared to the 1:44s of a couple of laps ago, the times are starting to drop a little bit. Garcia's into the wall. Lost the back end of the car. Finish Boy's going to take the lead. And Garcia is lucky to get away with that. He didn't have any more damage than just the end plate on the front wing. Now he's going to have to struggle with understeer. Looks like he might have tried to get on the power a little too early, and the back end came around on him.
Yeah, I can't think of a single corner on this track in the wet where you're anywhere near full throttle from that return, so he's really got to be more progressive. He's got to find a few steps in the throttle that he can get used to, and learn which corner needs which step. I am in that manner. That's why having a set of paddles and steering wheel helps hold them more. Get so much more travel compared to a controller, where it's just a few millimetres of movement. You can really precisely control exactly how much brake or throttle you're applying. Going to use steering wheel.
So Finish Boy has already gapped Eric Garcia by 10 seconds. And then 10 seconds back from Garcia, you're going to pick up Rafael Grasic in the Sauber. So Team Sauber running 1 and 3, going to be a good points day for them. But Grasic has actually got Ryan Wingate behind him, less than 2 seconds back. Finish Boy runs a 1:42.4, so he's still lapping 1:42s. And Wingate is going to dive into the pits. Well, Wingate picks up a 5-second penalty for speeding into the pit lane. He's going to switch over. Wingate has switched over to intermediates as well. So him and Anthony Johnson are going to be the only drivers on the intermediates. Johnson has worked his way into 6th, but I think that's more of the... Actually, he's worked his way into 6th, but he's come out on the backside of Eric Garcia, so now it's a battle for 5th position between him and Garcia. Garcia pitted for a new set of tires. He's back on full wets.
It does look like the traction from the intermediate, while they're in just the right amount of water coming out of the turns, it looks like he can have them now. Intermediate is the tire to be on. Everyone else should start boxing soon.
Well, this will be our best indication because this is Anthony Johnson chasing Eric Garcia. Garcia came back out on full wets. Johnson on the intermediates. And Finish Boy still lapping in the 142s. He is 0.3 quicker this time by than last time. Yellow flag sector 2. And meanwhile, while all this has been going on, Grosich has worked his way into the 2nd spot, and Donnie Stallbitz has very quietly been running in 3rd, minding his own business, making a great run up to the podium spot.
With my green is correct, we've got 2... Is it a Ferrari and an Alfa Romeo?
And the top 2 are Alfa Romeos. As we continue to watch, Anthony Johnson's going to go around the outside of Garcia. They're side by side. Garcia's going to lose out on that spot. So Johnson able to make the pass up in the 4th. So maybe the intermediates are the tire to be on. Interestingly enough, we've got Ryan Wingate on behind Eric Garcia, so Wingate's also on the intermediates. So if that pays dividends, then Wingate would be able to close the gap to Garcia as well. The rain is continuing to fall, but it looks like it's getting a little lighter, so intermediates. I think you were right about Anthony Johnson catching that crossover.
He was very early, but he did a button maneuver, came in, he chose to put the tyre on, and he made it work. Although...
Oh, and Garcia off the wall a little bit there. I don't know what was going on there.
He's going to be the first one who's going to have to come in for another set. He needs to hold it down and not make any mistakes.
And Garcia is going to dive into the pits. He picked up a 5-second penalty last time going by. Anthony Johnson sets the fastest lap now at a 1:41.8. And Garcia is going to come in and switch over to the intermediates. So it looks like he had to make an extra pit stop. That's definitely going to cost him. Donnie Stallbitz has dived into the pits now. He pitted from 3rd. He's come back out on the intermediates as well. So Anthony Johnson moves into the 3rd spot.
It looks like they've had most of the field now, if not all of the field, coming in, switching tyres. So we should have a representative pack order as we speak.
So the 2 Alfa Romeos are running 1-2, and they both remain well out in front. And they are both on... Oh, look at that. Finish Boy looks like he had pitted and come back out in front of Grosich. He's switched over to the intermediates as well. So Grosic's running in 2nd, still on the full wets.
There's no reason you can't run the full wets in this race theoretically from the beginning to now. If you manage your tyres, you every now and again dip into the rain to bring the temperature down, you should be fine. And technically they could last longer with having a little bit more spread than the intermediate. The intermediate have the most compounded design to be grippy to the slick track. But at the same time they have tread. Once that tread is gone, there's no grip on those tyres, but the wets have a much deeper tread.
So Anthony Johnson, who took the gamble early, comes across the line, runs the fastest lap at a 1:41.440, takes over the second spot as Grosjett's pitted to switch over to the intermediates as well. And it looks like Robert Carobo just got around Tim Gray for the 9th position. And a 3-second time penalty for Eric Garcia for corner cutting, so that's going to add insult to injury. And he dives into the pits again. Garcia back into the pits one more time, switching over to another set of intermediates, and has to put a front wing on this time. So Garcia's race is essentially falling apart. He's going to drop back into 9th. So Garcia is struggling here in the rain, so I think we've answered one of your questions from earlier. Who's a Rainmeister and who's not? And Garcia is not one to be called that right now, that's for sure.
Roaster's putting in a good show. Donny holding a solid 5th position, putting in a good show.
Ryan Wingate and Donnie Staubitz.
AI counterpart is not doing bad in 6th position. So that 6th position showing if you just do a regular race, you just hit all your marks, nothing too flamboyant, you can be in 6th position. So at the moment, everyone from 6th and below, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th, have all made too many mistakes or too many pit stops. And everyone at the top of your leaderboard, that's in 5th, we've got Donny, 4th, Gracker, 3rd, Roster, 4th, Tonorio, sorry, 2nd, Tonorio, and 1st, Finish Boy. They've all run absolutely phenomenal races and made up time every single lap. Just Donny needs to pick his times up a little bit. Can we see what tyres they're running on at the moment? See if everyone has made the switch.
Everybody but Logan Davis and Dennis Graham, the only two that are left out on the full wets. Graham's race fell apart early on lap 3. So he'll probably see how long he can go. And Logan Davis is running all by his lonesome. He's 9 seconds behind the AI car of myself, but 14 seconds ahead of Robert Carobo in the Red Bull. So the cars are all very well spread out at this point. Got a 20-second lead for Finish Boy. We'll hop on board with him and just see what it's like to ride along in the wet with Finish Boy, as he's just gone 1:39.589 as the times continue to drop, the track drying out just a little bit. Still a lot of rain in the air and a lot of rain on the track, but the times are about 5 seconds quicker than where they were from when the race started. So the yellow one's the ERS, and as far as the
white one that's considerably used on Formula 1, and one that's quite
it's D and an H, so I don't know if that is discharge and harboring, and they are gathering more ERS or using it. That is actually one thing that has not been, it's actually never been brought to my attention before, and I've never really noticed it, so I've never had the discussion about it. It's a good question.
definitely know about. You can't have anything missing when you're running a game like this. Makes everything feel authentic.
And a 138.9 for finish, boys. He continues to pull away from Anthony Johnson. Do have a little bit of a battle starting to materialize, though, between the fourth place car of Rafael Grasic and Ryan Wingate for the third spot.
Second pit stop window. All the long game stop windows are open now. So we should see one, maybe two cars are coming in if they're on the front runner. So Finish Boy and what's the real name of the owner? Mercedes?
Anthony Johnson. Oh, and Dennis Graham is off the track and into the wall. Right in front of these two guys, so. The good news for Dennis Graham is that the AI car of myself will not count towards points, so he'll at least finish 10th and pick up 1 point today. We're watching Rafael Grasic try and reel in Ryan Wingate in the Renault. And he is actually getting a little bit closer. He's down to a second now.
There won't be any DRS available, but there definitely will be some kind of drag reduction by driving in the close air of the car in front. Let's see who can pull that off on the next race.
And look at this, Grasic is running like a half a lane to the right. Maybe just trying to keep them tires cool in the wet. Under a second now. Working that 14 of 58, so still a little bit of ways to go. And I want to say the weather has kind of stabilized at this point. It's not exactly getting any worse, but it hasn't gotten any better over the last couple of laps. The times were dropping there for a little while.
Spray coming off the tires and the tire line.
And as I say that, oh, and who was that? The Sector 3 yellow flag, that might have been Logan Davis? Looked like one of the Renaults. Yep, it's Logan Davis has gone around. Coming out of the Turn 9 complex, and he just lost the spot to Tim Gray. He finally gets up and running again. So we'll jump back to the battle for third as Grasic is still trying to reel in Ryan Wingate as they head down into the Turn 1-2 complex.
For anyone enjoying the video live or at a later time, people involved when I say we're interested to hear what parts you like, even what parts you don't like, and maybe we'll try and bring in more of what you like. Let us know down in the comments.
Grasic lost a little bit of time through that first sector there. He's now 1.5 seconds off of Ryan Wingate, so Wingate picked up the pace just a little bit.
If we can get onto Wingate.
Finish boys going 1:38.6 now. Stretched his lead out to 22.5 seconds over Anthony Johnson. And now Grosic has reeled Wingate back down to a second. So the battle raging on here for the third spot. And looks like Wingate, he's got 8 laps on those intermediates, about to be 9. Grosic's intermediates are a little bit fresher. He's only got 5 laps on his. And it looks like he's actually riding in the slipstream this time down the front stretch. He had been running like a half a lane to the right, offline, just to keep those tires in the wet and keep them cool a little bit. But that time he actually went down and tried to catch some slipstream, it looked like. And again, it doesn't look like the track's going to change over anytime soon.
Could we switch the gap of the interval to perspective from position 1?
And there's your gap to the leader.
So we've got most people running just over 1 lap.
Oh, and a big twitch there by Ryan Wingate, who came out of turn 9 complex. So Tim Gray, Logan Davis are both a lap down. Dennis Graham is 2 laps down. Corobo and Garcia, Garcia's race is falling apart. He's in danger of going a lap down. Probably within the next 2 or 3 laps, it looks like. Grosic now within a half a second. He's in striking distance of Ryan Wingate's Renault.
If we can keep this distance, wait for the next lap coming around, we should be looking to slide past him on the inside.
Yellow flag, sectors 2 and 3. We've been seeing yellow flags all day long. A lot of offs, a lot of spins. Dennis Graham's had a problem. Eric Garcia's had a problem. Logan Davis has had an issue. All of them have had an off-track excursion at one point. And it really seems like that Sector 2 area is where Ryan Wingate is able to spread the gap a little bit to Grosic in the Salver. Grosic is able to make up time in Sectors 1 and 3, but it's the second sector here where Wingate's able to pull that gap back out.
I think in Sector 1 he starts to lose as well, you know. I did see him drop after turn 1. He seems to not get those races pulled. So he's not sacrificing turn 1 to gain in the instant turn 2.
So they come out of that flat out, well, what can be flat out, turn 9 area.
Now he's getting in.
And now he's lost time again, so Grosic is able to reel him back in. So 1 and 3 is the money areas for Grosic, and he is now probably closer this time by than he was last time. He might be able to take a stab at him and heading into turn 3.
Got good traction out of turn 2.
Oh, but look how close Grosic gets to him now. That's this section here. Sector 2 is where Wingate starts to pull away, and you can see right there, just in one corner, gaps him by almost 0.3 of a second.
Despite him, his angle of turning into the corner, you can see he's suffering with the same thing I was talking about before, turning in too early. Not very much, but just a little bit too early, which tightens the corner up a bit too much for him, so I hope he ends up moving around and get on the throttle.
The big twitch out of Wingate's Renault. And now in this area, this is where Wingate starts to lose time again. Grosich is all over the gearbox of him. Going to try and make a move heading down into Ascari. Not close enough.
I'd say he's close enough to get him on the back straight now.
Such a vast difference between the Australian Ascari corner and then the Ascari chicane at Monza. And we see they are both pitting.
So we're looking at 10 laps on the wet, 10 laps on the input. Maybe the track is drying up a little bit. We do see spots training and it's still falling down. Maybe another set of entities is the way to go.
Oh my goodness, and somebody... Grosich is either making a gamble or he picked the wrong tires, but...
Oh goodness.
He is going out on mediums, and I think that is a... I don't think that's what he wanted.
It's the end of his day, and he might not even have enough traction. I mean, you can see the track is left to right across the entire surface dry. So if he can hold on to the car just for these first few corners and get the tyres up to speed, get them heated up, he might have a chance. That could be an amazingly good call.
I mean, the rain is still falling a little bit. I mean, the skies do look like they're starting to clear a little bit, and the DRS looks like it may be enabled.
But if we do look at the ground that they're travelling on, I don't see any shine, any rain, no standing water out.
And we've actually got quite a number of drivers that are switching over now.
So what tyres do we have from those guys?
Looks like Finnish boys come in, switch over to mediums. Anthony Johnson switching over to softs. Grosich to mediums. And also, just a quick note that Grosich did make the move in the pits. Apparently, he came out in third position over top of Ryan Wingate. So Wingate lost the position in the pits. Looks like everybody's starting to switch over to slicks at this point.
If we can put some telemetry on Finnish boy or anyone in first, second or third, we'll be able to see how they're able to put the throttle down on the exit of these corners, just how slippery really is it. Careful on the brake. And yeah, they're still hesitating to get to full throttle until the end of turn 2, so there's definitely still some give on the track already embedded into the
Well, the other thing too is that in this league is that this is a no assist league, so there is no ABS, there's no traction control, so the guys really need to be a little more touchy-feely. As you see Ryan Wingate trying to make a move around the outside of Grosich. Oh, and he does a bold move, and they make a little bit of contact. So the battle for third rages on. Wingate gets back around him, and it's in Sector 2. That's right now Ryan Wingate's money area. Can Grosich get it back? And that's also the difference between the soft and the medium tires.
So with this all in all basically doing a 60 lap race, we're only to lap 20 and people are just putting on their slick tyres. So a set of hards will last you to the end, a set of mediums might last you to the end if you're close to the end, but I think the best run is going to be 2 seconds
And Ryan Wingate now sets the fastest lap at a 1:33.369. But he's still got Grosich right behind him, and Grosich is going to have the DRS advantage heading down to the sports center into turn 3. He's not going to be close enough to make a move, but he can stick with him. He might be able to close that gap. And now Donnie Staubitz has run the fastest lap, 1:32.184.
What are we going to be having coming up next week or in 2 weeks' time?
Well, in 2 weeks' time in GRL, we are going to be heading to Bahrain the second round of GRL racing. And finish boy goes 1:30.
Is there any way to bring up a list of all their lap times and as their sectors go by? All the drivers in one table?
I think the only way to do that shows what everybody's done so far as what pit stops they've done.
That's some useful information. So far, the top 5 contenders have all used either a soft and a medium, or a soft and an intermediate and a wet, or a a soft, an intermediate and a wet, or a medium, an intermediate and a wet. People who've made the serious mistakes there are Eric Garcia and Mr. Wilson, having used 4 tyres, so they've got an extra 20 seconds added to their race just for those pit stops, and 40 seconds respectively for the 6th place runner Eric Garcia.
Well, I'm interested to see how Garcia is going to do now, since the track has dried out and he was very fast in qualifying. He's already moved his way into the 6th position.
He started in 4th, so he's definitely going to want to make up those last 2 places. And someone who's jumped off the pack from 10th position starting, now in 4th position, he's going to be wanting to take that position. So that's going to be interesting at the end of the race. We should have some fight building up through the middle and the end of the race, which is just perfect for us. Action all the way through.
And you're saying this early in the race, 20 some odd laps to go, they would still at least need to make at least 1 stop. Does anybody make 2 stops from here on out?
I would say a set of softs going on at 20, 21, 22 should last 40 laps. Sorry, a set of softs. Yeah, so 1 more stop from now for the people on softs.
But the guys on mediums, do they run it all the way to the end of the race?
They can, but they have to be cautious on their tyres, so that's going to take them a bit longer. You can run the hards and push the whole way. But if you're running a set of mediums and you're going to the end, it's going to be a difficult race in the last 10 laps. I don't know how the tyre degradation's working in this game, whether it shows you a percentage or get a certain amount of laps per tyre. I would imagine it's medium. It's on now at around lap 45.
Well, the drivers do have a multi-function display option that would bring up the tire degradation, and it does show it as a percentage. Unfortunately, we don't have access to that information unless we happen to be watching one of the drivers' live streams as well. Which I don't know of any driver that is live streaming, unfortunately, at this moment. But it is interesting to see that Ryan Wingate is on the soft tires, Grosich is on the medium tire. And so far, Grosich has been able to maintain pace for the most part with Wingate.
It looks like he's using that toe down the main straight. He's got his positive sectors, and they sort of invert each other with what parts of the racetrack they're good at. So the circuit seems to be even-ish for both of them. He is losing a bit of time every lap, maybe a car's length or 2, but he's able to hold the position. Considering 5G and the PlayStation 5 release in the next 12, maybe 16 months, 18 months, the theoretical possibility is every single driver could have a camera, and while you're broadcasting it, you'll be able to switch between every single one of them and have all the information. That would be what to look forward to.
That sounds insane.
Looks like they've both settled down here in 3rd and 4th. They know what they need to do, they've just got to keep doing it. There's no moving out of position, they're holding their lines, they're braking perfectly, they're turning in perfectly.
And Garcia's gone 1:27.181, so he sets the fastest lap, currently running in 6th. And it's interesting that you say he had made that extra pit stop. Obviously, he had an issue that cost him an extra 20 seconds. I mean, he is 22 seconds behind Donnie Stallbitz, so realistically speaking, had he not had to make that extra stop, he'd be closing the gap to 5th spot and be able to take that over. See Grashit's there making an adjustment on the steering wheel. Looks like he was doing about 193 is what I saw on the steering wheel. Grashit's still trying to work on the backside of Wingate's Renault. This has been Wingate's money section here in Sector 2. He's able to gap the Alfa Romeo. And now Finish Boy goes 127 flat to set the fastest lap.
The Alfa Romeo got a good pull out of that last turn.
Yeah, this has been a really interesting battle to watch. I think this may be the closest Grashit's has ever been heading out onto the front stretch. He's about half a second.
If you get them there, if you can catch right up on him, you should be perfectly able to make a pass at the end of this straight.
Very close. You should be able to do it here, turn 3. The treacherous turn 3 area. So many bad wrecks in Formula 1 there over the years. Obviously, Fernando Alonso a couple of years back. Ralf Schumacher and Jacques Villeneuve had a massive crash there. Gerhard Berger back in the 90s flipped his Jordan there. So turn 3, a little bit treacherous. Not an ideal place in my mind to want to try and make a pass.
Someone's got an eidetic memory. I wish mine was had as much clarity as that.
A lot of YouTube. That, and I saw all of them live at one point. So, I've been watching Formula 1 for a long time, and some things stick.
Technology used from one engine type, one regulation set to another, does seem to differ like trends in music and trends in fashion, doesn't it? Comes in swathes. So hopefully soon they'll be back to extremely efficient V12 engines. Because there's no reason you can't be efficient with a V12 or efficient with a V6, but not efficient with a V12. And they need to get those revs back.
The hybrid era has been interesting in way of technology. I'm not a huge fan of it. I mean, obviously, extremely small displacement V6 turbo, hybrid energy system. I mean, it sounds amazing, but it has made for some rather dull racing in my mind.
Well, if you compare these engines to what is their equivalent in a regular-ish car in America, that car is an absolute piece of dirt for the same size of engine and the same amount of horsepower they're able to get out of a V6. These guys are getting upwards of 650 to 800 horsepower out of an extremely efficient engine.
Me personally, I like brute force. I miss the V10 era. The 3-liter V10s with the Banshee whale.
Oh, that scream was beautiful.
That was Formula 1 to me. And Grashit's still trying to work on the backside of Wingate. Wingate is going to have nightmares about a Sauber in his rearview mirror when he goes to bed tonight.
There's still 30 laps to go, so all we've got to do is follow him. Make no mistakes, just be calm and follow. Follow into the pit. Sooner or later, he'll get that call, make a mistake, and he'll go past him. It looks like at this point, Gracia's got the speed on him. Now he can stay behind him. He's got a little bit more skill.
Yellow flag, sector 3. I mean, for what it's worth, Wingate has run a very solid race. He's been running in third in most of this race through the weather. And Grosschitz, on the other hand, who apparently had an internet issue, it sounds like, in qualifying. So he started, deep in the field in 10th and able to work his way through. So they both run really solid races so far. The battle that just won't go away between these two.
He's just lost 5 tenths in the last second.
This is usually where he gains it back. Looks like he might have cut that corner a little close, though.
Still in seconds, still going to catch DRS if he can just hold it. He's good in this last sector. Still got a lot to gain in this last sector as well, but hopefully by the time he comes around, he'll still be in the DRS on the main stage.
And it looks like Garcia has headed into the pits again. Comes back out. Oh, well, Diggett said he was in the pits. Looks like he switched over to... Yep, he's come back out on a set of mediums, so he's made a second stop in the dry to switch over to mediums. And he'll probably run those to the end of the race. And now Grosschitz is as close as he's ever been, 4/10 of a second, off the backside of Wingate's Renault.
Are we expecting to get about 10 laps from a set of softs? Is that what we're seeing?
I think the life expectancy on a set of softs is like 19 to 21 laps.
Okay.
Now, how much degradation is beyond me, because Ross is looking to make that move.
And they've got traffic coming up as well, so this is going to be interesting. Who can keep their head, keep their cool? Here we go, Norton Stone. That's going to be a distant third for the Renault. He is very close in behind him. He's going to drag out of that.
And I believe, that is the AI car of myself. So, because it's AI, I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays to the blue flags. You see the...
I think that would definitely have been worked out, especially in a game like this.
Yeah, but the AI cars, I don't think they're as, say, generous as, say, one of the drivers.
I was just thinking that's exactly the point. They'll do exactly what is allowed and push the limit. So, if anyone's there's going to be a pass around the car, it's going to be a fair one, but yeah, there you go. Let them go flying.
Yeah, it looks like the AI car definitely cost Wingate a little bit of time. Grosschitz almost made a pass on the outside, but he's all over the gearbox now, again looking through the Ascari corner to make a move. And he's just not close enough to make it work, and I appreciate the fact that Grosschitz has driven this long behind Wingate without doing any type of unnecessary dive bombs or making any contact. There's been some very clean driving out of these two drivers so far.
He's been pulling out, and he's only stayed out until the point where he knows he can safely bring it back into the line and make a braking turn. Very patient. And you can see by the way he progresses through the throttle on exit if you watch the next two turns.
Now he's got a run on him.
Then 65, then 70%, so he's very precise with his throttle. And there we go, they're past.
In Grosschitz, it only took about 12 laps, but he finally makes the pass. But Ryan Wingate's now going to have the DRS advantage, so the battle's not necessarily over.
I think with Wingate having a little less skill, evidently over the last few laps, he's going to struggle to keep up, to be perfectly honest, even with the soft tyres. The skill with which he's handling that is second to none right now.
And Grosic did gap him a little bit. I mean, Wingate's going to have the DRS advantage, but his tires are going to be obviously a little bit more worn at this point, and this would really show if Grosic and Wingate did really well defending the position. Grosic seems to be more of an attacker. It doesn't look like Wingate's going to be able to make headway of anything. He's going to be just outside of DRS range next time by. And we do have a battle for 7th now. We've got the battle for 7th between Eric Garcia and Carobo. And Garcia blows the corner. He had the DRS advantage. He's into the gravel. And Garcia is going to be kicking himself in the shins on that one.
Thankfully, there is a gap to the cars behind, but he's going to really have to concentrate and get his head back in the game.
And he is pulling off to the side. He didn't make any contact with anything. He shouldn't be having any issues. It looks like he's back under power now. So too bad for Garcia. He had a run in the turn 3 section and just blew the corner trying to get around Robert Carobo. So too bad for Garcia. Showed a lot of pace in qualifying. Hasn't been able to put together a very good race, unfortunately.
Well, as we say, experience and practice is what makes a man, so you're going to take this, and hopefully he'll reflect on it, and he'll come back to the next race and realise, well, all I had to do last race was in a bad position, just stay consistent, so be consistent from the beginning.
Oh no, and he's just rear-ended the lap car of Logan Davis, unfortunately. And Garcia has lost some front-end downforce.
Did you see that coming out of turn 2 just behind Ferrari? He's chunks of debris coming off, spraying off from both sides of the car.
So now Garcia will have to make another pit stop for probably another wing and some tires. Yeah, the right front end plate is gone on the front wing, unfortunately. So Garcia made that contact with Logan Davis. Not sure that was really anybody's fault. I mean, they were at the end of the front stretch. Granted, Davis had a blue flag, but wasn't necessarily in a position to maybe, say, get out of the way without jeopardizing his own race and running in the grass. So perhaps Garcia got a little overzealous heading into that 1-2 complex. If he'd have waited, he'd have been able to easily get around him on that second straightaway heading down towards turn 3.
Go back to position 4. Check what's going on within 1.3 seconds.
And Garcia dives into the pits again. And the battle that just won't quit. Rafael Grosic and Ryan Wingate. Still running 3rd and 4th. Wingate's lost a little bit of time now. He's got 15 laps on those soft tires, so he'll have to make a stop here in the next few laps. It'll be interesting to see is same thing with Anthony Johnson. A lot of these guys have 15, 14 laps on their tires. The guys on softs will probably all have to make a pit stop. The guys on the mediums might be able to stretch it to the end. Oh, Wingate took that corner very poorly. So he lost a big chunk of time there. Well, back at the top, nothing has changed. Finish Boy is still your leader.
the even spread of medium, soft throughout the pack, it's bringing some of the people's times closer together. So whereas ordinarily everyone at the front would be pulling away from the person behind them because they're naturally quicker when they get into the right order, at the moment people are catching up on each other who wouldn't normally do so. We could definitely see at least one or two more battles before the end of the race, or close battles.
Hop on board with Finish Boy, and the race is a far cry from what it was when it started with the pouring down rain and the cloudy skies and dark clouds above. Now it's bright and shiny. You'd never known it would have rained.
Track building is rain building to being pushed away, tracks weakening back. Then we're going to come more speed as the race goes on. Anyone leading split now, coming out at the perfect time for the perfect time. I remember by the time allocations when I get to the most, most of the people who have on about lap 15 so you're looking for a pit stop in about 4 to 5 laps.
Finish Boy gets around Logan Davis, and he is back, quickly approaching my AI car. Oh no, yellow flag, sector 2. Donnie Staubitz. What has happened to Donnie? He was running in the 5th position. We'll pick up Robert Carobo, see if we can see Donnie's car anywhere. Yellow flag, sector 3. I'm going to garner to say it's probably that turn 9 area, and it looks like I've lost my co-commentator with me. And Donnie Staubitz has officially left the session. And Tom is back. That's good news. So too bad for Donnie Staubitz. He was running a solid day in the 5th position. Crashed out, unfortunately. Another caution in sector 3.
Looks like we've had some more pit stops.
So 20 laps to go in this race. Who's going to be the first taker on pit stops is going to be my question. And you were speaking about tire allocation right before you got kicked out of the party real quick, but you bring up a good point about tire allocation because Eric Garcia's made 6 stops today. Granted, most of those were for wets and intermediates, but he's probably running out of soft tires to use. He'll have to switch over to the mediums in the late going, and that's probably going to be a bigger disadvantage.
It mainly depends on the tyre and the track temperature combined. If you can get that chemical reaction matched just perfectly,
You see here, Garcia's gone wet, wet, intermediate, intermediate. He did run on softs, and now he's been medium, medium. So he's got to be running out of tires.
If I was him, I think the second medium he put on was because of a mistake. No, sorry, the first medium he put on was on purpose. The second medium was a mistake, so he should stay on these tyres now. He can't afford to come in again, otherwise he's definitely going to be in 7th. He could come up to 6th or even 5th if he stays out there. I mean, damn, he could even be third or second. It depends what happens. Little mistake up front, someone loses a bit of time, everyone pits apart from him. It could be on for a winner.
So Garcia, if he stays on the mediums, well, provisionally he's sixth place because KAMIKAZE-FOX, which is me, doesn't count. So he's technically running in the sixth spot. You could give him that. Donnie Staubitz is done for the day, so we don't have to worry about him anymore. So Ryan Wingate, Rafael Grasic, maybe not out of the realm of possibility if he runs his race right, that he could possibly at least get into the fourth, fifth position, maybe even a podium. But he would have to put in some massive laps.
Well, that's what I'd be hoping if I was in his position anyway. There's always a chance you can get first, always. So just keep doing what you can do and what the car can do, and that's it. And as we were saying before about certain tyres, degradation levels not allowing you to get around the corner. You might have to take a slightly different line in and compromises. It's always a rule that if you put the car in a certain place, and you know what it can do at that place, keep putting it there. Don't hesitate, don't worry. If you know the car can go there, put it there. And when people stretch the boundaries, and they really push the car to the limits and they push themselves to the limits, they find where is too far. And by knowing where is too far, you can get ever closer to it.
That may have been what had happened with Donnie Staubitz, unfortunately. I mean, a lot of these guys are pushing the boundaries of these tires now, I believe, anyways, especially the guys on the softs. I mean, we're creeping up on 19, and so now is the time, and you see, it looks like Anthony Johnson's going to be the first one to pit. He put 19 laps on his soft tires, so he's going to come out and put another 19 laps on soft tires. So Anthony Johnson's the first one to make a pit. Does anybody follow suit? Ryan Wingate had come in and pitted, so he did make his second stop, so he's on the mediums. He's got 3 laps on his mediums, and he'll probably run those until the end of the race. Garcia's got 5 laps on his mediums. He'll probably run those to the end of the race.
So if we're estimating 19 laps for the softs, what are we looking at for the mediums?
The mediums, I would say, were probably 25, 24.
Oh, so only another quarter as much tyre life as the softs. I thought they'd have maybe near twice the amount.
I could be very wrong, but...
And then the hards, so how long would you expect they can go? Maybe 35, 40?
35 to 40 easily. So Garcia does have a shot at 5th spot. Garcia's got a shot at 5th spot for sure. The pit stop delta here is actually relatively small. It's only about 22-second pit stop delta. So he would have to close that gap to Robert Corobo, because right now Corobo could probably pit and come back out on a fresh set of tires without losing a position. So Garcia, if he wants to gain anything, would have to really start closing that gap. So we ride along here with Anthony Johnson over the helicopter camera. 45 seconds behind the finish boy. Yellow flag, sector 3. And that's for a very slow Renault. That's possibly Logan Davis. So all the cars very spread out. Finish boy, your leader, 45 seconds ahead of Anthony Johnson. Anthony Johnson has got a 50-second gap back to Rafael Grasic in the third spot. Ryan Wingate, who we watched for most of the race trying to battle Grasic, is now 40 seconds behind after the pit sequence. Robert Carobo is diving into the pits now. I don't think Eric Garcia is going to be able to close that gap. Garcia is now coming through the 910 complex, it looks like. And Carobo's already got a new set of tires on, and he is heading back out. Garcia's still got a couple of corners to go before he can get back onto the front stretch. Tim Gray picks up a 3-second time penalty. And Carobo is back out and into turn 1 on a fresh set of softs. Garcia was unable to capitalize on that pit stop there, as he's coming across the line now.
Looks like Eric Garcia has cleaned up his lines. He's running quite solid. His tyres do seem to be giving up on him a little bit though. Maybe it's just not got the right temperature.
He's definitely got good race pace in the dry. He's 10 seconds back from Carobo after the pit stop. Be interesting to see if he can close that gap a little bit. Anthony Johnson just ran the fastest lap, so good for him. But 42 seconds back from finish boy, so that's pretty much all for naught at this point. I mean, the race winding down, the cars are so spread out at this point. Everybody looks like they're...
from any one of the top 5 drivers could mean if you get it in the wrong place, you could lose 2 seconds on the way off the corner, 2 seconds getting back on it, and 6 seconds in the sand trap. So 20 seconds could turn into 10, 10 could turn into nothing. So it's still on for this race, I'd say, for the second, third, fourth positions.
Yeah, as long as that's a good point. I mean, I'm looking at it from the other end of the spectrum. If everybody stays mistake-free, they're all going to probably finish right where they're running as of now. With the exception of the AI car and myself, everybody would finish in the points. Donnie Stallwitz would come home 10th, even though he had a DNF. I don't think he would get the point, though, because I think you've got to complete 70% of the laps, 75% of the laps in the race in order to gain the point here at GRL. I would have to verify that with the league president and what the rule is there, but I know in SRL they only give you points if you complete 90% of the laps. So, but again, that's a league that only runs 50% races, not 100% races. So 50% race length versus 100% race length varies a little bit. Garcia is closing the gap. He's got it under 10 seconds to Robert Carobo, so Garcia still trying to maybe catch up and garner that spot. Yellow flag, sector 1. Pick up finish boy. So again, September 28th is going to be round 2 of GRL at Bahrain. Look forward to that in 2 weeks' time. Next week, they're going to be kicking off their Project Cars 2 Sports Car League. I will not be commentating that, but you'll still be able to check out a live stream on the GRL YouTube channel, so be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Be sure to check out that race. I can't remember what cars they're running. I want to say GT3 cars.
Yeah, that would be the GT300 and GT500 amalgamated class that we see in Blancpain in real life and going around the Le Mans circuits every year. About 500 to 600 horsepower, 1,200 kilograms. It's a nice car to run when you've got a good set of splits. And cars like the Nissan GTR in Gran Turismo, for example, is pretty much the only difference, apart from a little engine tuning and maybe a slightly different turbo, is the rear brakes. That's about it. The rest of the car's completely stock. Oh yeah, and a wing, but yeah, completely stock. You will be really surprised.
And this has been a very busy opening day weekend for myself. We had SRL, that's the Sandro Racing League, kick off their Formula One season 10 o'clock this morning. And then from there we had a preseason test for the IRL International Racing League Gran Turismo GT3 League that I participated in. And we have the Garage Racing League that we're doing now. Tomorrow I'll be commentating at 11:30 in the morning for IRL F2 racing. And IRL themselves kicked off their Formula One season today at 1 o'clock this afternoon. F2 and F3 will be running at the same time tomorrow, separate streams. IRL had so many drivers sign up this year that they had to do a 3-tier Formula One gaming system. So F1 League, F2, and F3, depending on what speed you can run.
That would be an interesting day. Have a Saturday for qualifying and a Sunday for racing, but on Gran Turismo you could use the replica of an old school Formula One car as the middle tier. You could use the actual Formula One car in the game for the top tier, and then you could use some kind of sort of road race car as the third tier. Qualifying all on one day, racing all on another day.
Lots of cool things you can do in online league racing, and IRL is working on another series come January for Project Cars 2. It'll be a limited run, but it'll be an endurance race series that they've started talking about. It's pretty much going to be the best races in the world. It's going to be the crown jewel races from all the respective divisions in Project Cars 2. It'll be 6 races run over the course of a few months. But we're talking the 2.4 hours of Daytona versus the 24 hours of Daytona.
Still, 2.4 hours staring at the TV is not a nice place to be, really, when you're trying to, exert yourself. So it's still quite something.
But they'll be running that. They'll be running the 1.2 hours of Bathurst, 2.4 hours of Le Mans, Indy 500, Daytona 500. So that's in the works, getting that rolling and figuring out what kind of rules and regulations are going to be setting up for that. So that's in the early stages of being done. But it looks like they're going to run that between the when Group 3 racing ends on Gran Turismo and before the Group 4 season starts in the summertime. And obviously in the midst of that, the Formula 1, 2, and 3 tier series is running at IRL.
GR4 season should be interesting. Loads of experienced drivers. Lots of beautiful cars that have virtually zero oversteer whatsoever.
Yeah, the Group 4 cars is a lot of fun. That's the closest to the production vehicles in the game, and it's just the way IRL had their things, had the series set up over the summer, made for some really good racing. A lot of close racing. The points battle was all the way down to the wire, so it was good stuff. Anthony Johnson has managed to close the gap a little bit to finish Boyd. It's now 38 seconds versus 42 seconds.
We've got an 8-second gap between 6th place and 5th place at the moment. I'm watching it, it's slowly climbing every now and again by a tenth or half a tenth, so we are really spreading up.
Well, that's Eric Garcia still trying to work his way to that 5th spot.
I'm going to be starting a stream coming in 2020. It's going to be a storyline esque stream of Kerbal Space Program 2 on the day it comes out. If anyone watching this is interested in that game, building aircraft and spaceships and colonies on other solar systems, using all real life physics and dynamics.
That sounds
very fun.
Interesting. And
hopefully running multiplayer with 8 people. We'll all start on our own planet with our own space programs. And
something I'm sure a lot of people would love to do right now. Start their own planet. The world could use a hard reset right about now.
Isn't it the fate of every utopian to realise actually their idea of perfection would also end up probably worse than what we've got right now? So, yeah. It's a nice thing to look at, but for the moment, we're in a place where racing cars with gas-guzzling engines is what we've got, so while we've still got it, let's enjoy it.
And Garcia's now down to 7.8 seconds, 8 laps to go in this race, and he is clicking off lap times quicker than Robert Carobo. Does he have enough laps to close that gap? He would basically have to pull a Lewis Hamilton from Hungary and lap at a second a lap faster than Carobo in order to get to the 5th spot.
I've been watching Robert's time, and as far as I can see, he's losing time to the car ahead. So not only is Garcia catching him, he's losing time, so that gap is going to come down considerably. 10 laps to go? Oh no.
8 laps to go. And Garcia's coming up on a lap car, so theoretically Garcia could get a little bit of a tow and some DRS assistance, especially out here on the front stretch. And the Renault lets him go by. I guess he doesn't get any of those two things.
Of any kind, but just a little bit of assistance. They measure it, they know how much more performance they're going to be getting from that tow, so they can gauge. So Garcia should be just about realising what he's going to be able to do by the end of this race as he comes close to his limit.
He's now under 7.5 seconds.
If he can clean up those mistakes, and he keeps consistent and only keeps getting better or the same, he's still got a chance. But the car's gotten out of his way, so there's no tow available for him.
Let's pick up Robert Carobo running in 5th and see what kind of lines he's running. And this is interesting because Garcia's got 16 lap old mediums. Carobo's got 8 lap old softs. Yet Robert is losing time versus gaining any on the car in front or even separating the gap.
If those softs can do what we've seen they can do, that's a maximum of about 10, 12, maybe 15 laps. So those softs are on the way out. They're even going off as we speak. Whereas his mediums are right in the window technically. You know, 13, 15, 17 laps, they should be doing just fine.
And you can see Garcia is starting to come into the background there on the front stretch. He's got that gap under 7 seconds. And that's probably going to give Garcia a little bit more fire in his belly. If he can start seeing Carobo's car, that's going to make you want to push a little bit harder.
Well, as we see, it's getting a bit more overcast. There's not too much sun coming through, so the track's going to be cooling down significantly between now and the end of the race. So people on mediums, the temperature of the track's going to be coming into their window.
And now Garcia is under 6 seconds. So the intensity starting to ramp up here for the 5th position. No other battle on track right now, unfortunately. The cars are too far spread out in between each other. So it's too bad the day that Garcia has had. That's, you can see Corobo in the far ground there. He's just entering turn 1. I think after the day that Eric Garcia has had, I think if he can get to 5th would really do a lot to help him build his spirits back up after the day that he's had. But he did a little bit of mistake there in that corner.
He needs to work on the end of sector 2. He's dropping a tenth there every time. He can't be dropping any time to the guy ahead. Not a single tenth. He has to be gaining or staying the same the whole time.
And the gap is now 6 seconds. So he's lost time, unfortunately.
It should be 4 by the end of this lap, and that will give him a chance. But he's got to capitalise on every single corner. There you go, he's riding the whole track. This is a sector where the braking is absolutely vital. Heavy braking zone there, turning in, getting to the end of this little curvy right straight, and then with a heavy braking zone into a 90-degree right. Don't want to take too much of that curve. This is a sector where he's losing time, so let's see what happens.
And he's now 6.5 seconds off. So he had it under 6. He was down to 5.8. Made a couple of mistakes that lap. Cost him basically 0.7 of a second. I think his only saving grace now would be if Robert Corobo actually made a mistake.
Can we have a look a little bit further up the field, check out each corresponding car as we go up?
We've got your leader finish boy coming across the line to start lap 55. And he is a minute ahead of Anthony Johnson. Johnson, who is running all by his lonesome. He is 33 seconds ahead of Rafael Grasic, who had an epic battle for a lot of this race with Ryan Wingate, who is currently running in 4th. So Wingate's had a little bit of an up and down day, but a good run for him. Then you've got Robert Corobo, who is in the Red Bull running in 5th. And he is being pursued by Eric Garcia in the 6th spot. Garcia in the Ferrari has now got that gap down to just under 5 seconds. The 7th place car does not count. That is an AI car of myself for some reason, so that is inconsequential to the results of this race. Tim Gray's been at a little bit of a rough start in the wet, but he's been running pretty quiet and pretty solid in the 8th position for most of this race. Dennis Graham has finally settled down after having some off-track excursions in the wet, running in 9th. And then Logan Davis is running in the 10th spot. Unfortunately, your only DNF of the day is Donnie Stallbitz, who crashed out while he was driving in the 5th spot. And Eric Garcia, he gets that gap down and then he loses it again. He was under 5 seconds. He's now 5.7 back. So Garcia seems to be the opposite of what Ryan Wingate was. When we watched Wingate earlier in the race, he was slow in sectors 1 and 3, but he made up his time in sector 2. Garcia seems to be the opposite. He's quick in sectors 1. He loses time in 2 and 3.
Robert Garcia, sorry, Robert in 5th position in the Red Bull, still losing time, 4th position, the Renault. He's losing about half a second of that, which is pulling him back towards 6th position, the car we're watching right now, the Ferrari, who it seems like when we were talking about his tyres being in the perfect window, that window was closing as we were talking about it, so he's now struggling with extremely warm medium tyres. And out of the two, I'd definitely be on extremely warm softs rather than mediums. At least you got that compound underneath it and you can make it last. So it looks like these are going to be the finishing positions unless someone makes a mistake in the next couple of laps.
I mean, Garcia's got 21 laps on his mediums. And Finish Boy has just pitted with 2 laps to go. 36 laps on his medium tires. So he's going to make one last pit stop. Switch over to softs, maybe make a mad dash to the finish and set the fastest lap. Yeah, oh no, and Logan Davis, Sector 3. Looks like he's done crashed out, so your second DNF of the day with 2 laps to go.
What a shame. He'll get the points for the position, or will he? Is that how it works?
He'll get points for the position, he'll come home 9th. Just a shame to run that long in a race and not be able to finish it.
As we were talking about before, hopefully he'll use the method of realising a mistake who's so close to a solid finish, and he'll take that on board and learn from it.
Garcia's still trying to close that gap, but I think he's going to need a mistake from Robert in order to get that position. Yellow flag in Sector 1. We're going to pick up Finish Boys. He's coming around now. Start the final lap of this race. We'll ride on board with him. Final lap of the race. Just Finish Boy so smooth.
He's really struggling now with those tyres, you can tell, from the ultimate corner. Can we get a following camera so we can see this car from the front, looking backwards? It's a shame, we had some really good camera views in the last game. It seems limited to 2 or 3 this time.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, it's funny too, because a lot of that apparently is licensing from the Codemasters and the FIA, so broadcast cameras in the game apparently are not allowed to have the same camera angles or as real-life FIA cameras for the tracks.
Because that's one thing I have wanted to see in a few games. Some get it right, some get it wrong, some have loads, some have little. I've wanted to see the ability to pick certain cameras on the side of the track that are just always there, broadcast cameras. So you can see all the cars going past. Or you can see relative positioning from a static outside camera. You know how it's hard to judge distance and speed when you're already moving?
That is, that is actually a pretty interesting concept. Finish Boy has come across to finish this race. Anthony Johnson getting ready to come across now.
35 seconds clear. Solid finish there for Finish Boy.
So Anthony Johnson comes across second. Rafael Grasic. Great battle today between him and Ryan Wingate. Held everybody off. He'll be able to cruise home to the third spot.
Just bringing it around to the finish. Here we go.
Grosic to the end of the race, and he'll be happy with that podium finish. 58 laps done. Quite entertaining race for the most part in the beginning. The opening stint with the rain and the changeover. There is your race winner finish boy, and we're probably going to have to get used to seeing that. Finish boy Anthony Johnson, Rafael Grosic. A great day for Sauber, coming home first and third. A good points day for them. Johnson's going to be looking for some more speed heading into Bahrain for sure. And Bahrain should be an interesting race. There's probably no chance of rain in Bahrain. So some of these guys are really going to have to figure out and work on their dry race pace.
What's going to be difficult there is making the right tyre allocation work.
So here is your...
The softs are perfect, but the mediums and the hard don't really work very well at Abu Dhabi.
So here's your finishing order. Finish boy, Anthony Johnson, Rafael Grosic, Ryan Wingate, Robert Carobo, Eric Garcia. We're going to skip over me, Tim Gray, Dennis Graham, Logan Davis, and Donnie Staubitz. 10 drivers today. Ignore the KAMIKAZE-FOX Haas car. And you were right about the pretty much from fourth on down. Everybody was pretty much lapped. So only the top 3 finishers were the ones on the lead lap. So very entertaining race. Be sure to check out more Garage League racing in 2 weeks. September 28th for F1. You can also check out the Project Cars 2 League next week. We'll have a live stream commentated by Anthony Johnson himself for the GT3 League.
By all means, join us in Gran Turismo. I'm sure we'll see you online. We'll be there every other day or so.
Absolutely. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to GRL League. Be sure to check me out on YouTube as well. KAMIKAZE-FOX. Like, subscribe, and comment there as well. I really want to thank Tom Baker for being with me. His insights and analysis is always top-notch, second to none. Good to have him with me again. I know it's very early in the morning for him right now, so always great to have you. And we'll do it again in 2 weeks, folks. We'll see you then.